favor of love. The favor of love. Taking notes, favor of love. It was George Washington, the first elected president of the United States, that said, "Be courteous to all, but intimate with few, and let those few be well tried before you give them your confidence." George Washington said, "Be courteous to all, but intimate with few, and let those few be well tried before you give them your confidence." In 2006, William Johnson Drayton Jr. shocked the world in a stunning return from a hiatus from his famous rap label group. As the new face of reality television, the entire world would now witness women from all types of cultures degrading themselves on national TV on the show that we have called in 2006, The Flavor of Love. William Drayton was a young man that at age 5 was a prodigy, played 15 instruments, sung in the choir, was almost a preacher. But somewhere along the line from him hitting 11th grade in high school, got influenced by the wrong crowd, and then therefore changed his entire destiny over one decision. And today we know him as Flavor Flav. Notice how we are now transitioning in a culture in the media today that has literally reshaped what we call or consider when we talk about the word love. There are 3 instances in Scripture that literally describe love, if you want to look at it from a particular basis as it relates to the Scriptures. The first thing is agape love. It signifies the love of God. It is the love that God has for every believer. It's a love of God that is engrafted when you come into the family of God, and that is a love that you have towards your fellow person, towards those, because God has engrafted himself to the degree to which, in which every time we see you, you are a literal reflection of who God is. It is agape love. That's the love that allowed God to save us, to die for us, to hang for us. It was that love even in our own foolishness, in which God in his infinite mercy and his infinite power was able to do everything despite our rebellion. The second type of love is filios love. It is a love that you have for a friend. It's a love that you have for a friend. It is a brotherly type of love. When you look at the city, Philadelphia, it talks about the city of brotherly love. It is a love that you have a compassion for someone that is your comrade. It's your person, the person that rolls with you. It is a special love that you have when you are in connection or relationship with a friend. And then the third, that is in the Greek, is one that is known as eros. It is a love that you have toward a spouse, toward a loved one, toward someone that is particularly important to you. What troubles me today is when I look online and for a definition of love, you find that majority of it now is always dealing with something that is sexual. Because we are literally living in a culture today that loves to portray sexual images, that loves to portray everything that is over the top and everything that is connected to having something to do with sexual imagery. The media is everywhere we think, everywhere we walk, everywhere we talk. Berkeley College of the Study said that the average person watches 300 commercials a day, which means you have things always dripping at your attention, trying to get you to understand and see where you should be. So point number 1, love has lost its original intent. Yes. Amen. Love has lost its original intent. It is a case for mistaken identity. 2 Peter 2:9 tells us we are a royal priesthood, a chosen generation. Why? Because Peter understood that when you come into the family of God, that there are some things that God literally reshapes and redoes inside of you, so that whenever you are moving, he has already predestined you from the foundation of the world to be who he has called you to be. You never allow anybody to tell you who you are. Amen. It is God that has created us in his image to look like him. Yes. So when we understand that love has lost its original intent, we have traded the word love and we now equate that word with some type what major celebrity is going to deal with this one, and what one is going to deal with that one. And then 6 months later, somebody else breaks up, and 8 months later, somebody else breaks up, because we love to feed on attention. Amen. We love to look and see what's going on in other folks' lives, rather than checking our own selves to see if what we're doing is right. So when you understand that, then you understand that we have literally switched sexual intimacy and sexual things for love. It makes us desensitized to the things of God. Why? Because you will notice that Jesus chose to die for us. He is the perfect example of love. Amen. He is the perfect example of love. Number 2, love has lost its swag. The media has attacked and hijacked love because we have allowed ourselves to develop a culture of people who have no idea how to be loved. Because we look at a person to love us, instead of us understanding that we have to love the inside of a person. Why? Because in order for you, because what happens is we have displaced connotations of words. And so now you have people that constantly think because someone says to you that they love you, that they mean it in a particular way that you thought they did. And so now you have people online and folks upset and everybody mad because we have developed an emotional attachment to what someone has to say to us, rather than understanding what God has called you from the foundation of the world. Let's move a little bit deeper. You will notice in Time magazine, the top 2 words of 2009, number 1 was Obama. Number 2 was the term sexting. The number 2 word of 2009 was sexting, because the entire year, people were using emoticons to demonstrate their love to others for personal satisfaction. It was said a long time ago that someone used to say, love is blind. Yes. But when you understand the power of God, it's not blind. No. Because God is able to literally speak to you concerning what it is that He has put in your pathway. Amen. Third thing, love begins and ends with God. Right. Amen. It begins and ends with God. John chapter 3, verse number 7 says, marvel not that I say unto you, ye must be born again. Now when you recheck that verse in its original language, you will find that he literally or really said, you must be born above. Why? Because it was a mentality shift from where he used to be. That's why Paul picked up in Romans chapter number 12 when he said, and be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Why? Because the word conform means susimatio. It means a liking, to be in the image of, to chase after something. What are we chasing after that has nothing to do with God? When you are literally in confiding and in fellowship, in connection with God, it means that you have a relationship with Him that extends beyond what anybody could ever do or say to you. It means you have a relationship with Him that moves beyond what someone else says to you. It moves beyond how you could feel, because the major thing you want to do in your life is please God. Amen. But because we have developed a culture today in which you look online and you go on TV or you go inside of a train station that says no God, no problems, we have now lost respect and reverence for God and cannot treat each other right. Amen. So now he says you must be born above, because it is a mentality shift. You can be in church for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, sing hymns, jump and shout, and still not have a mentality shift. Amen. What we need today is a paradigm shift, a mentality shift. We have been doing this thing over and over and over again until we have moved into insanity, which is against the power and will of God. Okay. But when Jesus speaks to Nicodemus, he says to him, you must change your mentality. What is so interesting about his name is that he is a Jewish scholar with a Greek name. He's a Jewish scholar with a Greek name. That is very paradoxical, two distinct cultures. You will find that Nicodemus' name literally means a victory over the people. It is the root word of Nike, where you get your sneaker from today that says, just do it. It comes from Nicodemus because his name literally meant victory or a conqueror of the people. So when you sing Nicodemus, you expected him to be a certain way because you understood that he was named to be a victor over people. So when Jesus